We're continuing the post-Senior Bowl rankings with the safety class today. And remember, I'll be giving you my top 10, but you can see my top 20 on Twitter. So, hey, go follow me. I'm a good follow. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know, so go ahead. Become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. And let's go ahead get into this sucker with Brandon Joseph at number 10. Yeah, 6'1", 196. He's a redshirt junior or a fourth-year junior there out of Notre Dame. If you remember, he was originally Northwestern, made the transferred after the 2021 season. This was a guy I was exceptionally high on after the 2020 season at Northwestern. He just looked so good, so fluent, looked like he had just a knack for finding the football. And then we just didn't see those ball skills in 2021. Then he goes to Notre Dame, where I'm like, oh man, cool, he's gonna be playing like the Kyle Phillips role there, and he's just gonna erupt. And again, didn't really see the ball skills, only had a pass breakup and an interception this past season, but he did play pretty darn solid. I got a 4th round grade on him. What I love about him is his versatility, the ability to play in the box, deep, or in the slot, and probably a guy with his build capable of even playing on the outside occasionally if you need him to. Like, I think he can mirror NFL receivers. Not relatively easy, but he can do a solid job at that because he is a very fluid athlete. He is also very fluid in his transition, oily hips, and I think he's got exceptionally solid range. And he just, again, this was a dude in 2020 that continuously found himself in the right spot at the right time, and we just didn't see that in the next 2 seasons. And I think a large part in that was, I think at the end of the day, he's just better at playing closer to the line of scrimmage. Yeah, you could play him deep. He just doesn't have that nose for the football, which actually now it's like, okay, man, maybe this is looking at him, it's like, okay, maybe more so this is a guy with like those short area quicks to really jump stuff underneath. So you want this guy closer to the line rather than having him deep. He doesn't have that like true ball hawk type of range you'd really, really like, which is wild because I think he's got good burst coming downhill, and I think he's a fluid athlete. Just like, I don't know, we'll see how he tests out the combine. He is a cat that I think plays the run exceptionally well, just needs to be a better finisher. You go back to 2021, he had a 20.8% missed tackle rate. That looked much better this season, and I think it was like 11%. So you like that, and at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I get it. He's not like high-end explosiveness, like, or at least his long field range isn't probably as grand as it seems. Again, maybe a guy you want closer to the box, or maybe even in the slot. Still, big fan of this cat. Even after I had him, I think initially as like a top 15 prospect in my too early 2021. Was it 2020? No, 20. Yeah, I guess it would have been 2021, right? Oh, no, 2022 rankings. There we go. Regardless, let's go ahead and get into number 9, Jair Brown out of Penn State. Got a 4th round grade on him. And to be fair, like with guys like Joseph and Brown, these are very fringe top 100 grades. They're like really close. So you look at 4th round and be like, oh, you think he's a day 3 guy? It's like, I would take him. I would potentially take these guys late day 2. So don't let their projection make you think I'm not that high on this guy, because I love Brown, man. 5'11", 202, was very productive his final year there at Penn State, and unfortunately didn't participate in the Senior Bowl. I don't know if it was because of injury or anything, but he initially accepted the invite and then was not on the final roster there. But this is a guy that he had a long career to Penn State. First, he started out at Lackawanna Community College. Hell of a name, by the way. He played there for 2 years. He was in 2019 the Northeast Football Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Then he went to Penn State in 2021. He was a full-time starter. Decided to use the extra year of eligibility to return as Jaquan Brisker moved on to the NFL. He became the leader of that defense, and he is a ball hawk. Look at that, like 4 interceptions. The amount of pressures this guy has, 15. Go back to 2021, 6 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. Like, I think he has very good anticipation, recognition when it comes to things underneath, and he knows how to jump those routes. This is another guy that I think ideally you want to play him close to the box. He's a very football savvy type of player. Hardly you'll ever really catch this guy out of position. He shows that those short area quicks. Also big hitter mentality, and you just love to see it. He's good at tackling guys out in space. 13% missed tackle rate this past season, which is nice, as that was down from 15% in 2021, because he does occasionally like whiff on tackles because he's going for the big hit. But that's not, to me, that's not big, not a biggie. Not an exceptionally explosive player, and isn't a guy that for sure doesn't possess, I would say, the center fielder type of range. More of this split high box guy, and there's going to be questions about his length and if he could consistently contest the catch point against larger individuals or larger pass catchers, the more physical type of receivers or tight ends. So those would be some of the questions circling around with Brown. I think it really would have helped if he went to the Senior Bowl, because, like, honestly, a lot of the safeties really helped. I think their stock there at the Senior Bowl, guys like we're not going to talk about on this list, but like I think Daniel Scott, Kayvon Merriweather really helped their stock there. I thought they looked good. So, yeah, sucks, but hopefully Brown has a really good combine. All right, let's go ahead and get to my top 100 star with Jartavius Martin out of Illinois. Man, he looked really good out there at the Senior Bowl, and he is like the ideal slot guy here. Coming in at 5'11", 193, was very productive his final year at Illinois, where he had 10 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Goes by Quan as well, if you didn't know. Primarily played in the slot, but he does have experience playing in the box and really playing all over. This is a cat maybe you can use a bit more in a variety of different ways. But I think ideally he is that slot player at the next level, man. He's got good range. He's got good short area quicks. He reads and reacts relatively quickly, stays on top of routes in front of him and behind him, has a natural nose for the football, and these ball skills he displayed, they were coming out of the slot. They really, really were. I love that aggression he plays with in the run game. He's been a very sure tackler this past season. 6% missed tackle rate, which I believe is the second best here in the top 10, apart from my number 1. So really, really good. Now, the thing is, man, like, you're going to want more size from your safety. You kind of want them closer to that 200. But again, that's not a death nail. But it is something you probably... I should mention there are times that aggression takes him out of plays. And honestly, to minimize that, you play the more aggressive guys probably closer to the line of scrimmage, or have them learn to be a bit less reactive and be more proactive in coverage. He also played a little bit at outside corner in the past. So I mean, maybe you start this guy in the slot and maybe you kick him outside. Like early in his career, if you go look at it, where was his freshman season? He played 10 games with 8 starts at corner. And then in 2019, he had 5 starts at corner. And then it was 2020 where he started to make the transition to slot/safety. So something to keep in the back of your mind. He looked good at the Senior Bowl. Big fan of Quan. All right, number 7, JL Skinner out of Boise, 6'4", 211. I feel like at that size, he's probably going to stick to safety, but I mean, honestly, probably also is a guy that you're going to frequently use as a sub package or dime package linebacker. So that won't surprise me. But he had an all right Senior Bowl. I wouldn't say he stuck out too much, but I thought he was relatively solid. This cat hits like a brick through a windshield. One of my favorite terms. It's just so accurate, you know? It's like if you think a guy hits hard, nothing visually hits harder than a brick through the windshield. Unless we're talking about the Kool-Aid guy through a brick wall. Whew. Ooh, but those are those elite tier type of defenders. I don't even know why I threw that in there. Dude's got good measurables. 32.5-inch arms. So you like that? Like that, actually. I think that was it was tied for the longest there. Yeah, it was tied for the longest there at the Senior Bowl with Ronnie Hickman. So he's got the length to like clog passing lanes. He does a good job of tracking the ball when it's in the backfield. So in terms of the run game, he shows good closing speed. Like he's not explosive. Like it takes him a bit to get going, but once he gets going, like that closing speed, the pursuit speed's very nice. That length just makes him live anytime he is around the catch point. 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups in 2021, 4 interceptions, 3 pass breakups this past season. He played a variety of different coverages there at Boise State. Again, with that insane length, that just enforcer mentality, he kind of looks like probably the premier box safety in this class. So there's that to think about, but it's just he's not a fluid athlete. He's a bit stiff. He's a bit clunky when you just see him out of a back pedal or just moving in general. He is a much improved tackler, and that was huge this season. Though he's never been a bad tackler. Like I think it was 12 forced missed tackles or 12% missed tackles in 2021, and then he started the year off really bad this past season, but really cleaned it up, got back to that 12% missed tackle rate. So, for the all intents and purposes, very sure tackler, especially with that length and that wingspan, just able to get around guys relatively easy. He does relish physicality, and there are times where he can get caught being a big hitter rather than just simply wrapping up sometimes. He can be late to reads, but again, that was something he got better at as the year went on. Oh, and to be fair, while he had a solid Senior Bowl, it wasn't one that really, I thought, moved the needle for me. Like at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, he's kind of he's a top 100 guy, sure, yeah. I didn't feel like the need to move him up after the Senior Bowl. I really had the same opinion coming out as I did going in. All right, number 6, we got Jordan Battle out of Alabama at 6'1", 206. Quite frankly, I was surprised this cat didn't declare last season. For the draft, I thought he would have been at the very least a day 2 pick, or I had him as, I think, a second round grade. Got him here listed as a top 100 player at 6'1", 206, and he's a coordinator. Like he's a good athlete. He's got a good combination of strength, power. I think he's got solid explosiveness as well. He loves imposing that physical play every chance he gets, whether it's lighting guys up over the middle of the field, or even if it's in the run game, being just a mean hitter. And we could probably talk about this right now. Like, this is the cat that does need to lower the strike zone. I could see him getting flagged for, helmet to helmet, I could see him getting flagged for those personal. What do they call it? Personal foul, I guess. Oh, we're gonna go personal foul. I could see that. He did a bit better job about it this season, but like keep in mind, in 2021, he was like I think almost thrown out twice because of shots to the head. So just a dude, just lower the strike zone a tad bit. And I thought he did a much better job this season at that. The ball skills weren't there this year. I mean, we go back to 2021. He had 2 pick sixes. He had 3 interceptions, 4 pass breakups. This year, only a interception and a pass breakup. So, the ball's like we know he can't have a nose for the football. And I think it's at its best when he's closer around the line of scrimmage. But it feels like there's a ton of guys in this draft like that. It really does, and he's honestly at his best when he's coming downhill. Because he attacks with good speed and good explosiveness downhill, plays with good balance, navigates traffic well. He's just very good against the run, in my opinion. And honestly, like when he goes to the combine, a lot of people are going to want to know, like, what's his range like? What's his speed? What's that 40 time? Let's see the agility drills. What does he test out at? Because laterally he doesn't feel nearly as explosive as he is just coming like downhill in a straight line. He can be he needs to get a bit smoother in his back pedal. Kind of nitpicking here, but there are times where he will lose a step in coverage if he's playing close to the line too. Maybe a slot receiver, or tight end, or a running back, I should say, even a tight end. But like overall, man, Battle he's got a solid game. He's just a solid player that I could see slipping just because there's not that one thing that really excites you about him. But I'm a big fan of Battle. Got him as a top 100 guy. Let's go ahead to my top 75 with Christopher Smith. I liked his Senior Bowl. I really, really did. Like I said, a lot of safeties. I thought the safety group looked really good this past or couple of weeks ago at the Senior Bowl. Chris Smith, man, he showed he could play around the scrimmage and be a finisher, and I like that because one of my biggest questions for him was like, this is a guy that wants to hit at 5'10", 188. You're like, probably not the mentality you should have, because it did lead to him not being a consistent finisher. 15% missed tackle rate. But I thought he just does a good job coming up and attacking line of scrimmage, finding and navigating traffic, finding holes, and finding ways to get to the ball carrier. So I do like that about him. But he's a cat with a center fielder type of skill set. Like he's good coming down underneath, but he closes quick in coverage. Like he has improved so much in terms of how he reads and reacts opposed to 2021, and he has really shown a nose for the football. 4 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. The minute he thinks he knows where the quarterback's going with the football, he's gone, and he will sometimes beat the receiver there to try to make a play on the football. He's a very smooth athlete. Can be a bit clunky when turning and going, but I thought he looked much smoother at the Senior Bowl when doing that. Like, just tracks the ball well, and big fan of this cat's game. And I will say he could probably take better angles when going towards the sideline in the run game, and because there are times where he'll undershoot or overrun plays, that being on his tape. Again, if those runners don't get a chance to break it outside of the hash, then it's kind of like, okay, he'll be in the vicinity, but there is a chance, he takes a bad angle if that play does get to the outside. And he's got good speed, man. He's got good closing speed. He there will be times where he doesn't, I don't want to say he has like a high risk, high reward, skill set, but there's times where he will bite on quarterback's eye candy, or he will bite on maybe like a double move, and he will lose a step in coverage. But like, he's got that closing speed to like close in and meet the receiver at the catch point, and he does a good job of jarring those balls loose. But I like Smith, good player, making the top 75 here, and I thought he had a relatively solid Senior Bowl. And then now we're going to the top 50. Sidney Brown had a freaking fabulous Senior Bowl, and I think he really separated himself from guys like Christopher Smith, Jordan Battle, J.L. Skinner, Jair Brown. He's 5'10", 213, and the dude was everywhere on the field there at the Senior Bowl. You probably know by now his twin brother played running back there at Illinois, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was gonna come in with much more subpar length, and he did. 31 and a half inch arms. So the length came in good, because that was my big question. Because like coming in, I think some people were like, okay, you know what, like, because he's got extraordinary range. He's a literally bowling ball shot out of a cannon. This guy flies all over the field, and you saw that at the Senior Bowl. You see that on his film. Now, however, you kind of question, okay, well, it looks like he maybe has stubby arms, so will he be able to consistently challenge the catch point? Well, he measured out great. I didn't really think that's too much of a problem. Obviously, the ball skills were on big display this past season. 6 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. So, like, he started checking a lot of boxes for people. Like, again, super compact, nice speed. Could be better as a finisher, like a very aggressive player in terms of being a tackler, and it does lead to some missed tackles. Last year, 2021, it was 17%. This year, 16.5%. So a guy that'll occasionally whiff on tackles kind of is what it is. But in terms of, he's going to be everywhere. He's going to make those catches. And I bring up the aggressive tackling, man. Josh Wiley literally put him on his rear end. It looked like cartoonish. It looked like a cartoon character running into one of those, like a sign or a light pole. Just, it was kind of comical, but still, regardless, you love the ball hawk in him. You love the violence he wants to play with, because he plays with that at the catch point as well. Like, I thought he did just a world of, like, he came out of this week of Senior Bowl week just looking freaking amazing. It was quite the performance for Sidney Brown, and I guarantee you he is going to go higher than his brother, because I know there's a lot of fans of Chase Brown in here, and that's not a knock on Chase Brown. It's just Sidney Brown's that good. Then number 3, I got Jamie Robinson out of Florida State, another guy at the Senior Bowl. Had a solid Senior Bowl too. I think he was probably right up there with Sidney in terms of impressing. And he did come in with the subpar measurements compared to Sidney Brown. 5'11", 194. He came in with sub 30-inch arms. But, I mean, just watching him this past season, this dude could do, like, felt like he could do no wrong. Whatever you asked him to do, he could do it. He had 88 tackles, and this was like he had 7.4 missed tackle rate. So a very sure tackler at that. 14 pressures coming off blitzes. Like, come on, heck yeah. 3 pass breakups, interceptions. So the ball skills, okay, kind of is what it is. They weren't really there, but I think part of that is just trusting more in his eyes. Because like he is a guy that does disrupt the catch point quite a bit. As you see, like his catch rate this year was 56%, which again, that's solid there for the safety position. But he could do a better job trusting his eyes, because I think a lot of those maybe forced incompletions turn into turns into ball skills, turns into pass breakups, turns into interceptions. But the change of direction is good. He's got center fielder potential, but he also has might not have the ideal size to play in the box, but he has the mentality to do so. He's also played a lot in the slot over the course of his career, so he could do that as well. Sure tackler, and if anything, okay, he lacks the ideal size, is what it is. He lacks the ideal length, is what it is. There are times he gets a bit too conservative and gives more cushion than he should when it comes to coverage, which that's another thing that kind of results in less ball skills. So, but there's so much to like about him, man. He's going to test out exceptionally well at the combine. I'm sure of it. I'm a big fan. I love Jamie Robinson. Got him as a top 50 guy. Him and Sidney Brown are relatively close to one another. They're kind of that next tier. And then like kind of not even necessarily the next tier up, but maybe a half tier, I guess, is Antonio Johnson. He's sitting there at 6'3", 195. And Johnson's he's like a big slot. Played more traditional safety this year, but he probably like checks in as like a slot box safety type. Great frame, super long, shows good closing speed, kind of a do-it-all player close to the line. Like he can blitz, he can stop the run, though the missed tackles were up a bit this season. Back in 2021, it was 8%. This year was 15%. But this is a guy that can rock receivers. He's got the build, he's got the burst, he's got the hustle. He's just very magnificent in that regard. However, there are times where, and you notice this more in the slot, that more shiftier receivers could get the better of him, as he's too quick to give up his hips and get turned around. In off coverage, there are times he's just too early in his back pedal. And like he goes into his back pedal too early, or he like breaks out. I should say transition out of his back pedal too early, and it kind of affects what he can do underneath. But again, we're kind of nitpicking here. If I'm really gonna come up with a big gripe to Antonio Johnson, it's the lack of splash plays. Literally didn't have a pick or a pass breakup this past season. If you go back to 2021, he had here we go. He had an interception and a pass breakup. Like, there are no splash plays in coverage whatsoever when it comes to Antonio Johnson, which is a real shame. Now, I think like I said, guys like Jamie Robinson and Sidney Brown are a lot closer, I think, to Antonio Johnson than anyone's really willing to admit. And how he tests out is going to play a large part of it. Is he really like a half tier ahead of those guys, or is he in those guys' tier with probably potentially, I would say those guys maybe even potentially being better prospects than him. So that will be the question when it comes to him. Let's go ahead to number one. You already knew it. Freaking Brian Branch. I love Brian Branch. I'm a mark for Brian Branch. He 3% missed tackle rate. That led all safeties. That's a hella good tackle rate if you're a freaking defender in general. If you're, it doesn't matter. Like, this dude is just that good. He played that star role for Bama, which means he's playing a lot in the slot overhang. And I think I'm cool with that. Like, he's 6 foot, 193. He's got the type of production, the type of play style to, I think, really play anywhere in the defensive backfield. You want him outside, you want him in the slot, you want him in the box, you want him deep. Like, he can do it. You want him as a dime linebacker? He can do it. Like, he can do a lot of things for a defense. Whatever you want him to do, he can do it. He checks a lot of boxes in that regard. He reacts to play so quickly. He is very good coming downhill. Shows a good short area quicks. hard hitter, sure tackler, has a nose for the football. 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups this past season. Yet he did have 3 sacks too. He's showing ability as a blitzer. You love that. This dude just has a nose for the football. If you go to his freshman and sophomore year, he had 2 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. He's a very patient blitzer as well. He has the ability to make plays out in space. And I think I said this coming. He's been my top safety, I think, through the whole process. I've absolutely loved this cat. Again, primarily playing that safety role. And ideally, you probably want him to do that at the NFL level too, because I think he could just be such a difference maker at that. And let's be fair, slot. Did I say it? Yeah, slot is a start-in role in the NFL. It is. It is. Just saying. He does have a bit of a high risk, high reward mentality, but more times than not, you're getting a reward. But there are times where he finds himself a bit out of position, having to play catch up. But man, I absolutely love Branch. There's really not much to not like about him. I think the curious question for some people, will he test out high end? I think that's going to be what probably, again, I list him as a top 10. I think that'll decide, is this guy truly capable of being a top 10 player in this class? Or is he more of this like mid to the back end of the first round type of guy? It'll be solely based on how he tests out. But I absolutely love him as a prospect. Big fan. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. Remember, check out Twitter for my top 20. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.